Hi, and thanks for tuning in to the Unhinged History Podcast, the podcast where two friends are going to compulsively research history stories that we found in memes that our husbands sent us in TikToks, and then we are going to research compulsively the background behind them, tell each other the stories we've only recently learned, and we record it for your edification. I'm host one, I'm Theresa, and that is host two. That is.
I'm Angie.
And you've tuned in today, and we're thankful that you're here. Angie and I did a thing. You might have heard a commercial or something that we put together. We now have a Patreon. So if you are like, you know what, commercials below, I'm over them. I started streaming services and pay extra to avoid all of them. You can do that here too. Um, just a couple of bucks helps you cut through the noise, and we'll be uploading additional content for you as well there occasionally.
Good times.
It is great times. Um, and then Angie told me right before we hit record that I go first. So I've got that going for me. Um,
Oh, good. I'm just going to tell you that when my Hot Pocket walks in, I will mute myself so I can eat it.
you would. Okay. So my story idea
Do you
comes
not want
from,
me to mute myself?
no, I do. Okay, fine. Make it impossible to edit out. Yes, I want you to not eat because when you're eating a hot pocket and you're trying to inhale, it's going to be hot. It's going to be overly hot, no matter how hot it's supposed to be. And you're going to, because you will not blow on it before you put it in your mouth. And the
Thank you for knowing
mesophilia,
me so well.
I do what I can. Anyhow, this story was recommended by someone I met on TikTok. Nope, by somebody I met on LinkedIn named Maya. Maya has a Brazilian background, and so she said that I needed to look up Antonio Conselheiro. I'm probably saying with a Japanese accent. I can hear the Japanese accent in my brain. I'm so sorry. When
Did
I
you
learned
say she was Brazilian?
she is Brazilian.
Okay.
So this story hails from that region of the world. Yeah. So Antonio Conselheiro.
Okay.
All right. My sources, encyclopedia.com, Christian Science Monitor. This feels like a brand new one for me to go there. And
Yeah,
the
I can't
article,
say either one of us have ever used that one before.
no, this feels new. The article is A Poor Man's Advocate by Jack Epstein. And Genie.com had a very thorough background as well. Another news source for me. Um,
That's awesome.
yeah. And obviously, because this wasn't in the US, I couldn't go to my favorite park service, even though I still love the park service.
We still tried.
So, Antonio Vicente Mendez Maisel was born in Santo Antonio de, there's an X in this word and a Q,
She speaks
Quesarambim,
Japanese.
and neither of those letters are in Japanese, uh, deep in the Sierra Backlands. Now, his grandparents are vaqueros or cowboys, and apparently his infancy is marked with a bloody family feud with a powerful family, the Araujos, causing many deaths in both families. So this sounds like an episode of Zorro. Now, they kind of follow this really heartbreaking cycle of vengeance and honor that is, it feels part and parcel to many I, Western European stories, of knighthood and chivalry and the whatnot.
Okay.
Now, one record says that his mother dies in 1834, and then his mother remarried, or his father remarried again.
I was gonna say if his mother remarried, I have additional questions.
You should have additional questions, but that is not the case. Now,
Okay.
um, when the father remarries, Antonio and his two sisters suffer from daddy's alcoholism and maltreatment by the stepmom. Now, another version says that the first marriage of his dad ended disastrously when he deserted his wife after bludgeoning her so severely that she nearly died.
This is stepmom?
No, no. So mom either died and then dad remarried,
Oh,
or
okay.
Mom was either bludgeoned and dad took everybody and left.
Wow.
So either way, this bodes well.
Yeah, this is great. This is great for a youth's mental.
Yeah. I mean, just
You go on.
the just the foundings. Just this is just setting up the fairy tale, right? Now, Dad's second wife is common law, and her name is Maria Maciel, and she is the boy stepmother during the most formative years this kid has. Now, they live in a village, or no, she is known in the village as Maria Chana, and she is incredibly strict. She imposes religious discipline within her household, and is quoted to saying that she meted out frequent punishment to her children and slaves.
Frequent punishment to her children and slaves, as in the
Yeah.
slaves are also their children.
Negative. I believe two sets of peoples resided in the household, children
Got
and
it.
also slaves.
That makes sense.
Uh-huh. Now, gradually, Vincente or the dad's fortune as a merchant, um, they begin to like kind of fall off. The dad grows morose and sullen, and he's frequently inebriated. Now, in a cool twist, oh, you're going to say something?
Yeah, I was just thinking, why is that always paired together?
Because medicating with alcohol tends to be a depressant. Depressant makes you more morose and sullen, so you keep this flywheel going.
I think that it is the stories we choose never result in dad grew more morose and further sad and entered into a world of poetry. Like, that never
I mean,
happens for our stories.
and dad discovered therapy,
The end.
right? And broke the generational curses and brought his family. Like, that's just not where we're going
Yeah, I
because
guess
it wouldn't
that
be
way didn't end
unhinged
in.
history.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it wouldn't end up on our podcast if it did.
No, no.
Bless you though if it does.
You end up on an episode of Oprah. Now,
Facts.
I need to come up with a new thing because that is a very dated reference now. So, Antonio, he goes to study with his grandfather, and grandfather was a teacher. So, this seems to be well. Now, Antonio himself, he's pretty studious and he studies quite a bit of things. I might get into that in a little bit. Now, for whatever reason, it's noted in the literature that he has a very tawny complexion. And apparently it's because he's got part Indian ancestry. Even though his birth certificate listed him as dark, most of his chroniclers referred to him as white. So there's some interesting like racism that's going to be. So put a pin in that. That's going to pop up later.
So passing?
I wouldn't say passing. I don't understand that, but
Okay.
there are blacks later on. There are slaves in this period in this time period as well. So maybe it's like, well, you're not black.
Right. Okay. I
I
gotcha.
mean,
Okay.
maybe I don't know. Like there's so much about Brazilian history and culture and like I don't know.
Fair. I'm here to learn. Let's go.
Now, he does have some very formal instruction that comes from both grandfather and father. Father wants to become a priest. Um, when he goes to be taught by his grandfather, who is a professor, he studies arithmetic, geography, Portuguese, French, and Latin.
Get
So,
it?
right, like again,
Okay.
this is the 1830s, 1840s at this point.
This is giving the Brazilian James McDonald.
Yep, and James McDonald being the first Choctaw lawyer, previous episode, if you're interested. Now,
Yeah, sorry, I guess I should have led with that. Sorry.
oh no, you're fine, you're fine. This is why we work together, right? Now,
That's
some
true.
of his schoolmates, they are doing pretty good. They proceed to move on from school and become police chiefs, newspapermen, lawyers, like they are doing the things. Now, the Mendez Maisel clan, they're known in the community as being a good family. They are part of the conservative class of the time. They may not be particularly wealthy, but they are a good name to marry into kind of deal. Now,
Right. We're
1850,
respectable.
right. Like they are just they may upper middle class, so to speak.
Okay.
It's 1855 when his dad dies, and our man Antonio, he ends up taking up the family business. And this means he's really got to work hard to get his sisters married.
Oh, right, because that's part of the family business.
Well, I
Ah,
mean, so it's not part of the family business, but it is part of like, this is your responsibility as the patriarch.
yeah.
And we also figure out that he files paperwork to back some outstanding loans with a mortgage. So he has to mortgage the house to cover the loans from his dad's improper business dealings.
I would have never thought that had been a thing in the 1800s, but I mean, obviously it was because you could buy a house. Like,
Right.
anyway, yeah.
I mean, yeah, these are all the things. Now, 1857, so 2 years later, he marries a woman named Brasalina Laurentina de Lima, which is a name. Now, um, this is his 15-year-old
I'm
cousin.
sorry, as opposed to what?
I don't know. It's a name.
Which
It's
is a
like
name.
like first off, her first name is Brasalina, like the lady of Brazil. Like
Mm,
you know what I
okay,
mean?
I
Like
see
I would
where. Yeah, yeah.
that I was just like, okay. Now, he begins working as a car or as a car salesman. Salesman, my brain put car in front. Don't listen to me. Um, he's also working as a teacher and a lay counselor, which kind of translates to poor man's lawyer.
Okay. I would have thought it would have been something like with the church, like a lay priest, that sort of thing.
Ah, yeah,
But
no,
yeah,
not quite.
no, I just learned something. Thanks.
You're for my next trick. Now he at around like 1861, he's got about two kids, and his wife cheats on him.
It's always the spouse.
I mean, you're not going to keep like the neighbor's not going to sleep with somebody else, and that's not going to throw off your day. You know what I mean? Like, of course, it's this, it has to, that's the definition.
Right, I was making the joke because every time it's murder, it's always the spouse.
Oh, fair, but nobody murders here. That was just his parents. He might have broken that curse. Now, um, disillusioned and depressed, he kind of separates from his family and he retires to a farm, working as a rural teacher. And he's devoting himself more and more to the Christian mysticism practices. Like, family wanted me to be a priest, I might as well start leaning that direction.
Okay.
So he moves again to a place called Santa Quiteria. I'm so sorry for anybody who has an inkling of Portuguese who knows how badly I'm saying all of this. He has a third child named Joaquim Aprigio, and this is he has this with a local artist named Juana Imaginaria.
That's a name.
So as opposed to, I'm joking. Um,
Brasilia or whatever
I
it was.
mean, just the fact that her last name kind of sounds like imagination is kind of cool to me.
I
But
was thinking, is she
um,
real when you said that? Is she just made
I
up?
Ed Edwards. I think you could have done better making up a code name there.
John
Now,
Johnson.
our man Antonio, he's getting restless and he starts to wander around the country. So from 1865 to 1869, and then he has like another jaunt from 1871 and moving on. Now, here's where the story kind of picks up now that we kind of see the seeds building.
Okay.
He sells his house and he strikes off to wander the backlands. Now, you need to understand what he looks like. Our dude is tall, he's thin, he's got long black hair and a beard. He's always dressed in this rough blue tunic. He's got a straw hat, he's got leather sandals, he's carrying a black necklace with a wooden, nope, he's carrying a necklace with a wooden cross. The color wasn't said.
Okay.
And apparently his figure is impressive and reminds people of our man Jesus.
Okay, that's what I said. Does he look like Jesus? Okay.
But I've never thought of Jesus running around in a blue tunic, but apparently everyone's like, "Hey,
Yeah, okay.
it's
If
Jesus."
Jesus wants to wear
Or
blue, he can wear blue.
in this neck of the woods, Jesus. And he's spending tons of time in these little backwoods towns and he's rebuilding dilapidated churches, he's rebuilding cemetery walls, like he is helping his community as he's going through these different places. 1874, he starts to attract the attention of the authorities in the Catholic Church because he is preaching to the oppressed and the poor peasants and these common folks of these small villages and farms.
Like while he's repairing their fences and
I'm
and
assuming
taking
not
care of their
simultaneously.
cemeteries.
It's not tink, 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 and woe, I say unto you, tink, tink, tink. I think, it's during lunch or maybe in the evenings.
Okay. I like the idea of doing it while working.
Yeah, it's like very whistle while you work, Seven Dwarf style.
Yeah.
Um, 1876, he gets arrested by the police and it's under suspicion of being a wanted criminal. And he ends up being identified, sent by ship to Fortaleza, and he's severely beaten. His hair and beard get cut, and then he's sent back for trial in his hometown. The local judge kind of looks at him and realizes there's no actual criminal charges against him, and so he releases him.
Oh, that's nice.
Isn't that beautiful?
You let him get beat up, but now we've kind of looked into it, and maybe he's not, in fact, the guy we thought he was.
I think maybe we knew he wasn't the man we thought he was at first, but it's like in for a penny, in for a pound.
Hmm. All right, well, if you're gonna do
And
it, I
maybe in
guess.
this case, in for a penny, in for a penny, in for a pounding.
Okay.
Yep. I'm glad I got the guffaw out of you for that one. So he returns immediately back to where he was in Bahia, and he starts his wandering and preaching all over again. He vows to construct 21 churches and then proceeds to do so in 12 cities in these backlands. And he's going through and building cemeteries and small dams. Like he's really just pouring into these impoverished communities.
Good for him. I like that.
187. I mean, I was telling Mike the story. I told Mike where I thought the story was going, and then I told Mike the recap of where the story went, and there was a sharp deviation.
All right, then carry on. I'll shut up.
Eight- 1877, there is a series of catastrophic droughts that begin in the Northeast, and it would last 2 years. It kills over 300,000 peasants by hunger and thirst and really just wreaks havoc in this semi-arid agrarian economy.
Okay.
Many in villages are entirely abandoned, and then there's instances of cannibalism that break out.
So we're on a theme.
I just want you to know that you may have inspired me.
Thank you. And also, really? That's how I inspired you.
You don't get to choose how you inspire people with your life.
To be clear, I am not a cannibal.
But anyhow,
She is saying I inspired her based on my story of Johann de Witt, who was eaten by his own constituents. Thank you. I like tri-tip. Good day. Thank you for attending my TED Talk.
okay, either way, look. But Antonio Conselheiro, him and his followers, they're doing what they can, and they're really trying to work out and reduce the suffering of the poor people around them. And as they do that, they start to amass more followers and admirers because this guy is acting like Christ.
Like we're literally called to do.
I mean, from your lips to, I won't say God's ears, but to everybody
Yeah,
around
yeah.
us.
Right, got it.
Now, this kind of provides everybody with this sense that the world is really on the brink of ending and that the only salvation could come through religion were strong incentives. And this leads to a surge of religious fanaticism.
Wait. So they feel like the world is ending because this guy and his followers are acting like Christ, and because they are acting like Christ and doing what Christ would have done.
Okay, maybe that's the wrong lead in. The catastrophic droughts, people are literally eating each
Oh,
other to
okay.
survive. And then you have somebody coming through to help, and they're like, you know what? It's the end of the world as we know it. And so they're like, hey, I'm just gonna follow you because I mean the crops have failed. What else have I got to do?
That makes sense. Sorry, I my brain went straight from cannibalism to this man acting like Christ, and I
No,
didn't I didn't
I didn't
like
lead you
go.
through there nicely. I did not very kindly take you through that gate. I kind of smashed you into the wall and hoped you just passed through. Um, so he's with this fanaticism building, right? His followers are kind of looking to him as a saint and a Messiah, like they're seeing some real positive attributes in him. And they have not a lot of positivity in their world.
Right. Okay.
This leads to his increasing criticism of the church because he's doing all this work and he's not seeing everybody else step up.
Right. That's a
As
fair statement, I think.
you know what? Like, work harder. Now, as this is happening, as he's opening these small churches, the Archduke, or nope, the Archbishop of Bahia in 1882 issues an order forbidding priests to allow him access to the flocks and characterizes him as an apostate and a madman.
I think I
So
heard that wrong. We'll give you access to our people, but we think you might be a little bit crazy.
we're forbidding you to access our people, and we think you're crazy.
Oh, I didn't hear forbid. I heard give him. Sorry. Okay. That's
Yeah,
me.
no,
That's
no.
me.
No, you're good. You're
Okay.
good. I mean, I'll listen to it in the recap and be like, yeah, no, I omitted that word. Now, so he's continuing to get this reputation as a religious counselor, or apparently in Portuguese, Conselheiro, hero, neither.
Okay.
Um, his wanderings take him through the backlands of Seria, Pernambuco, Sergipe, and Bahia. I'm wincing every time I say anything. And this is just at the peak of the drought region. Like, so this is the worst of the worst. He is going to the most impacted places. In 1887, he reaches the seacoast at Villa de Conde, and he then turns back to the semi-arid interior. So he goes to the coast and he's like, okay, I went to the beach. Now let's actually go back to where things really suck.
Okay.
And he's still wearing his blue tunic. He's tied with a sash. His hat's turned down to protect him from the sun. He's carrying a leather bag. He's got an ink, pen and paper, and two prayer books. He is living a very austere lifestyle.
Okay.
Throughout this period of time, there's reports of him living on alms and sleeping in the back rooms of houses or in barns, but always on the floor.
Okay.
And every time he's talking about the subjects that are really affecting these people's lives: taxes, debt, troublesome marriages. He knows all these things.
Right.
And this really adds to this mythos of him being the counselor.
That makes sense.
So this is all building.
Yeah.
Now, he has these nightly orations from these makeshift podiums in the public squares. So not while he's working, but his his second shift starts, and this is when he's starting to do his preaching.
Right.
And he is entrancing these listeners, even though he's not a particularly forceful speaker. The sophisticated who hear him, they refer to him as a buffoon, and they're laughing at this weird mixture that he has of these dogmatic counsels, these vulgarized precepts of Christian morality, Latinate phrases, and prophecies. He's just got this weird eclectic mix, and they're like, gross, weird.
Stop
But
being like that. Ew.
yeah, like cringe.
Right. Ew.
However,
Cringe.
yeah, but to the poor, the humble, he has this charismatic hold over him. And so people are
Okay.
following him from place to place.
Right. That makes sense. I mean, people have been following him the whole time. Why would they stop now?
Well, and I think we're just growing the numbers now. So
Yeah.
1888, 1889, Brazil's going through this, and I have to say I knew pretty much nothing about Brazilian history before this story, and I know only a smidgen now. Brazil as a whole goes through this revolutionary, far-fetching social, economic, and political change. And this is probably the biggest that has happened since Europe hit them in the 1500s.
Okay. I
So
I'm excited to say that I actually know exactly one thing about Brazil, and that is Carnival. That's
that is
it.
literally all I knew. And because of the cartoon Rio.
Oh yeah, also Rio. Yeah. Okay, cool. So thank you for
Well, Rio the
broadening my
parrot, the
horizon.
cartoon.
Yeah, I knew what you
Okay.
meant.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure
We're
that
a
we're on
big
the
fan
same
of
page.
that
And you're not
film.
thinking, yeah. Okay, so May 13th, 1888, slavery is abolished by the ruling emperor Don Pedro II,
Okay. It's a little
which,
late, but I'll
hell
take
yeah,
it. Yeah.
it happened. Now, this happened when Don Pedro, um, or this happened when an act was signed by his daughter, Princess Isabel. More than 5 million black people are freed overnight. They abandoned the farms and just swelled enormously the rural and urban ranks of the extremely poor inhabitants. Just
Right. So we
overnight, no
abolished
plan.
slavery overnight and we did not plan well. That's what I'm
Yeah,
hearing. Okay.
exactly.
Okay.
So now tens of thousands of farmers are bankrupt. Agriculture just comes to a crashing halt.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And there's really bad results for the cash crops that like take a ton of labor, like coffee, cotton, tobacco, sugarcane. These are the mainstays of the Brazilian economy.
And we've just released the workforce, and so now no one's going to get fed, and the entire country is going to collapse because again, we did not plan well.
Yeah, we shouldn't have been
Okay.
relying on this work to begin with, and now that we've become reliant on, we did not
Yeah.
plan an exit strategy.
Well done, guys. Okay.
Change management is a thing. It should have been around a lot longer than it has been.
Uh-huh.
So that happened on May 13th. November 15th of the following year, the emperor is deposed by a military coup and a republic is proclaimed.
The same emperor that freed everyone is now been deposed. Well, I guess that
Yeah,
makes sense. Everybody's starving.
they're starving to death and they
Yeah.
blame the top.
Oh, well, that does
But
make
to be
sense.
fair, he kind of did do this in a weird way.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, it makes sense.
So this layers on the torn up country.
Right.
Okay. So now the numbers of Antonio's flocks just dramatically swell. He's got
Yeah.
more people under his wings. It's estimated that 80% are former slaves.
Wow. Okay.
So, I mean, this is so I you can see this starting to build.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're getting some popularity now.
He's also Antonio's also considered that, or he can Antonio considered that the monarchy was a gift from God and that the republic that has the separation of church and state is morally wrong and would wreck the country, it would wreck family. This republic itself is an antichrist.
That's our guy saying it.
Our guy Antonio, he's like he
Right, right.
is
Okay.
staunch emperor, like
Got it.
monarchist. And so he starts stepping up his public criticism and he rallies social movement around these concepts. And
Like this. I'm terrified, but I like this.
both of these feelings are good. I'm glad that you have enough foreshadowing to know that there is going to be more angst that builds as a result of this, because this drums up fear and nervousness among farmers, priests, and government. It's 1893, and there is a skirmish, if you will, that occurs between his disciples and some troops that are sent from the coast to arrest him.
This is sounding so like Christ's story.
Hold
Ah,
that thought. Hold
okay.
that thought. Um, So he sets out for a remote abandoned cattle ranch on the banks of the Vasabaras River in the state of Bahia. There is a hamlet of 500 or so mud thatched roofed or wooden shanties that are there. Um, and he names this place Canudos. And his followers are basically like farmers, Indians, cowboys, former slaves. They brought furniture or the clothes on their backs and they construct 5,000 mud stick dwellings.
5,000?
It goes from 500 to 5,000
Okay.
dwellings.
I heard the 500 and then I heard the 5,000 and I was like, "Oh,
An escalation. Yeah.
okay."
Suddenly,
Okay.
city. Um,
Okay.
and so he's protected here in this ring of mountains that surround this valley. And there's friendly landowners in the region as well, and also a couple of local priests. As many as some reports say 25,000 pilgrims, some say 30,000. Either way, substantial amount of humans of all economic and racial groups take up residence here. And this becomes Bahia's second most populous urban center by 1895.
Wow. Okay.
So this is a big deal. Now, he Antonio Consejeiro's theological vision kind of inverts the harsh and austere reality of the impoverished backlands. Here, the weak are strengthened by their faith, and they're supposed to inherit the earth, which is the Beatitudes right there. Nature should be transformed, that the rains are going to come and they're going to really bring forth the earth's bounty in this area. And they're praying for this area, Canudos, to be the new Jerusalem.
Okay.
Now, as a community leader, he retains his personal aestheticism that he's been living with this whole time and this humility that we've come to see from him this whole time. Um, he's telling others, he's dissuading them all to not call him a saint. He's never assuming the powers of clergy. Like he is very aware of who he is, and he is not the stereotypical cult leader.
Okay.
Now, he's also borrowing from an Catholic apolo- ap- ap- apocalyptic, apocalyptic, a Catholic apocalyptic missal that's used widely during this 19th century. And his teachings never stray from the traditional church doctrine. So he is on the level.
Okay.
He is telling his disciples to live austerely, to renounce luxury, and basically just hang out and await the imminent, because it's imminent, coming day of judgment.
Okay. So so it's gonna rain, the earth is gonna the bounty is gonna come and then judgment.
Yep.
Okay.
Now he's also gonna be a little bit complicated here because he's also a misogynist. And I don't have a ton of detail about this because Hubs asked questions what I said, what I'm about to say next. He avoided eye contact with women.
Okay.
I don't know.
Is it because
Those
the eyes
statements,
are the key to the soul or whatever?
I don't have any additional detail, and I don't know how those two relate, but those two statements were said back to back.
Okay, let's go.
So, even though that's happening, sources say that he's not a religious fanatic, that he's really sticking to the common popular Catholicism, that even though it's from the backlands where he is, it's fairly cut off from church influence. Um, but he's really always emphasizing the presence of sin, the need for penitence, and the role of, or the personal role of saints and other intermediaries.
Okay.
So everything that I can find is like, this man is 10 toes down, saying the right things at the right times. Now, politically, he's opposed to the Republic. He's all for our man, the exiled Emperor Pedro. Um, there's a bunch of things that go on that my eyes glazed over and my notes don't make sense because I the eyes glazed over. Now
Right, I
his
got you.
enemies are accusing him of sedition and advocating for this violent restoration of the monarchy. And this is presumably because other people are violent monarchists, but we don't really see that from him.
Okay.
Now, there's also opposition that he has and his community that's led by the local landowners that are threatened by the loss of their traditionally docile labor force. The slaves have uprisen. They've all moved together to the second largest population. And we're a little nervous that they might draw on their pitchforks and realize that we live in a nice big house.
You should be nervous.
Yeah,
Like anyway, okay. I
yeah,
the defense shuts up.
the defense should. Now, more and more people continuing to come in, and this swell of humans is causing fear and trouble in the region because many of the new residents, they're maybe not so peaceful. They're
Why
referred
is
to
that
as a
always
word
the case?
because things happen, people change. Like your group, once you have a small, loyal following, you've got more control over it. As it grows, it becomes more unwieldy. We see this
Yeah.
happen when a video goes viral and we see things spiral out of control. This is what we
Yeah.
see. This is what he sees as well.
Yeah.
Now, as this is happening, there is a word that is used that I don't feel strong enough to say in a weird butchered accent, but it translates to hired armed men who worked for the farmers. So
Okay.
the
The
CIA
militia.
of the farmers come in, basically.
Okay.
And now there's appeals to the government to really come in and repress and control this group because they're playing Chicken Little and they're afraid that these unruly poors are going to throw a revolution.
You say that like it's throwing a barbecue.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I'm probably more akin to throw, they're probably more likely to throw a barbecue, but
I mean,
the
yeah,
wealthy are upset about the poors being so numerous and nearby.
always the case.
It is always the case. And so they're fearing an invasion by who they call the consulhistas. And there is a dispute with the consulistas seem to have had a dispute with a local lumber merchant. And its mayor, I'm assuming of the area, appealed hysterically to the provincial government.
Okay.
So, all right, two Capuchin friars, they come out to Canudos and they're trying to calm the population.
As you do.
Two people versus 30,000.
As you do.
Apparently, these numbers don't roll a high enough number on the die to be able to affect change.
The Nat charisma was down.
Yeah. And one of them seems to have mistakenly accused Antonio Conselheiro of trying to raise a monarchist sedition, apparently accusing the leader of this group of sedition doesn't bode well.
Shocking. Didn't see that coming.
So this ends poorly. But um, things amp up, armies are brought in, and the mud-walled Troy successfully defended itself against three military assaults, including 1,500 troops that were brought in under command of Colonel Antonio Moreira Sar, Cesar, and Colonel Caesar. He is the nation's most famous officer, and he's a man who is so ruthless, bro is known as the beheader.
Dang, what you got to do to get a nickname like that.
Yeah. So the
Okay.
beheader rolls in with his men. He is shot and killed.
Wow, that's not where I saw that going.
To be fair, that took a sharp departure from where I saw it going too. But his Caesar's death or Tsar's death shocks the nation, and President Prudente de Moras he ordered 8,000 soldiers equipped with cannon, dynamite, machine guns to go to Canudos.
Okay.
So that escalated quickly, and there is a heavy military siege that followed, and Antonio Conselheiro, the man we know and love, he spends his time praying and fasting. And he's
As you
troubled
do.
by his continued trouble of death, hunger, and the suffering of his followers.
I would be too.
And so he's just been nothing if not consistent as far as I'm concerned.
I would agree.
Due to his severe fasting, he dies September 22nd, 1897, at the age of 67.
I really did not see that coming.
His death apparently is due probably to dysentery.
Oh, he shot himself to death.
The death we wish for many
Oh,
that doesn't come came to him. But he's buried by the pious villagers, and his death is the beginning of Canutos's defeat, which eventually brings about the brutal death of more than 50% of the city's inhabitants during the military operations. And there's tons of atrocities that are committed by the army against this population.
Shocking.
His body is disinterred, his head is severed, mounted on a pike, and displayed at the head of the military parades in Salvador and other cities on the coast. So it takes a kind of tour.
Oh, like Santa Anna's leg,
Yeah,
but not nearly as fun.
new.
Okay.
Hmm. Apparently, the two strongest peasant movements in modern Latin American history occurred in Canudos with Antonio Conselheiro and then in Mexico with Emiliano Zapata. And this is said by Canudos' Spanish-born priest, a man named Juan Antonio Lizarralde. And he goes on to say, Brazil should do what Mexico did for Zapata. It owes him a monument.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna tell you, I thought for sure because you said cannibalism earlier, I thought for sure they were gonna be under siege so long that because he was this religious leader and because he was the exact opposite of the cult leader that I was thinking he was gonna be, they were all gonna be offed when the military walked in so that he could keep them safe.
The
Like I
guy's
thought
no
we were really
Kool-Aid,
gonna take Yeah, I thought we were really going to take a very gnarly turn. I mean, the turn was gnarly, but not the turn I thought we were going to take.
right? And so when I told Hubs this story, his response was, huh. I was like, yeah, it did go a different direction. Like I read the overview, I was like, oh, I see where this is. I did not see where this is going.
Yeah. Dysentery, I think this is the first time dysentery has been one of our deaths.
I think you're right. It happened off the Oregon Trail, and that threw me for a loop.
Yeah. Well,
But that is the story of Antonio Conselheiro. Hiro. I've said his name different each
in
time, and
Japanese
I
again.
don't think I've ever said it right.
Hey, well, you know what? I can say the River Thames now. So,
Anything you can do, I can do, kind of.
it only took me 80 videos to figure it out. So here we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. So enjoy
Okay.
that departure. Figure out how to do your about face on this one.
Yeah, there's no, it is fully an about face. I put my colored pencil down, so I don't, I'm just gonna go. I found a story for you that's all vibes, and the woman in the story did everything for the plot, like everything.
Oh,
I thought you would enjoy. I'm a palate cleanser today.
I think little did you know that you were the palate cleanser we needed.
Here I am. Um, my sources are two articles from Town and Country, both written by Jennifer Wright. Excuse me, released respectively July and August of 2025. The first one is called The Gilded Age, Who Was the Real Mamie Fish? And Gilded Age, the true story of how, I'm not going to read all of this to you, but the true story of how Mamie Fish tricked Gilded Age society. There is, I made this into a very bright color so I can't actually read it. The Desmond Fish Public Library has an article, and the Newport, there is another article from the Newport Daily News by Caitlin Emery Avina from August of 21 called Newport's Gilded Age. Mamie Fish was a fixture at Newport, Rhode Island, like high society. And then have you ever heard the podcast The Gilded Gentleman?
No.
I've had the pleasure of listening to a few of their episodes. So basically they take the Gilded Age as their area of like it's their theme. So this episode that I listened to, I believe it's number 72, it features a woman called Ashley Atkinson who plays Mamie Fish on the HBO series Gilded Age. and a author and historian called Keith Talion. It was actually really fun to listen to both of their takes on this one particular human because obviously one is currently playing her right now, and the other is the expert. So hearing them talk about this one character was really fun. So I was glad I found that. So allow me to tell you the story of Mamie Fish. Mamie Fish was born Marion Graves Anthon in Staten Island on June 8th, 1853. So we're kind of in the same time frame, only my people, there's no cannibalism involved.
That's too
Um,
bad.
I know, I'm sorry. Pops
The fan
was
fiction
William.
version of this could have it, though.
Oh, yes, it could. Definitely. Her dad was William Henry Athlon, he happens to be a lawyer and an assemblyman that's representing the area of Staten Island. He also served in the Civil War. Mom is called Sarah Atwood Merritt. I believe that's how you pronounce her last name. It's Meert, so Merritt makes sense to me. She comes from a prosperous but not super socially prominent family, whereas dad can trace his family roots like he can go back pretty far. But all that to say, she has a good childhood, a decent life. That said, she has a crap education. She herself said she could barely read or write. Um,
Oh,
so for being a young lady in a well-to-do family at that time, it seems like they could have done a better job on, I don't know, getting her a tutor, but they didn't. And then, sadly, in 1875, dad dies and the family falls on hard times, right? Well, I've heard some conflicting stories here, but it seems to me, I think both things could be true. She's married a year later to a gentleman called Stuyvesant Fish, who was of the old money, a proud, long American
stuyvesant
hair.
fish?
Stuyvesant Fish, yeah,
This
Stuyvesant.
sounds like an auto-generated name from Xbox.
Yeah, nope. Oh my God, I'm changing my gamer tag. He'll forever be Stuyvesant Fish. That's awesome. Now, okay, one camp suggests that her and Stu's marriage is basically it falls on her to marry well to save her family from ruin, like that old story, you know. But the other camp says that, which is the Desmond Fish Library, so I kind of have to go with that. Sort of makes sense to me. Says this is basically like the marriage of high school sweethearts. Like they've been together for a long time. I think probably both are true, at least to some degree. And our guy Stu, he adores her. Like regardless of why they marry, he is like head over heels, always has been, always will be with our girl Mamie. So just a little blurb on our guy, Stuyvesant Fish. He is born into like the American aristocracy in 1851. He is the son of Hamilton Fish. None of these names sound real now, so thank you for that. Um,
But see,
who
Hamilton fish
happens
kind of seems like it could be a real thing. Because
Stuyvesant? No,
stuyvesant
it doesn't.
feels like a weird verb or
So
adjective, sorry.
I will tell you why it's Stuyvesant in just a few minutes because I was also like that is the weirdest name I've never heard of it in my life. Okay, so um his dad, Hamilton Fish, is one of the nation's most distinguished secretaries of state. They've got ancestry that go all the way back to the Mayflower and Peter Stuyvesant, the Dutch founder of New York. And Fish basically seems destined for this life of prominence. Now, Stuyvesant is his maternal um like it's his maternal line's family name. So he gets it as his first name, so the name continues, right?
Okay, so like an
Right.
Anderson.
Right. Right. Okay, so and when I've read that, I was like, yeah, that makes so much more sense. Because I'm over here going, who wakes up in the morning and goes, Stuyvesant? I'm going to name my
Yeah, no
son
kidding.
Stuyvesant. And it now makes me wonder about everybody I've ever heard of called Stu, what your actual name was.
Because they're
Anyway,
not going to own up. They'll be like, just assume it's Stewart.
yeah, it's Stuart. Okay, yeah. Um, Our guy Stu, he's president of the Illinois Central Railroad from 1887 to 1906. He oversees its greatest expansion and he becomes this titan of American industry. But it's his marriage to Mamie that like truly cements his place in like the golden age, or excuse me, the Gilded Age legend. Fish tolerates society with like a patient indifference, but Mamie thrives as a Newport social queen. She is hosting extravagant parties at their colonial revival mansion called Crossways. She's traveling in circles with the like of the Astors and the Vanderbilts. So there's a little bit of context there. Like these are the people that she's brunching with on the day to day, right?
She's rubbing elbows with old money.
Yes. So she even makes this joke that like sh her and Stu are like one of the least rich families in the area because she knows the Astors. But it's like she says it with such wit that you can't help but love her because she knows her place in society, but also like you're not going to stop her. So here we go. So regardless, like I said, of her education, which is absolute crap, she is incredibly smart and super quick-witted. Um, Mamie is not known for her 3 hour long, rather boring dinner parties and kind of uptight personality that one would expect from like Caroline Astor. No, Mamie is here for vibes and plot only, and she has an accomplice. Tell you
Go
about
on.
her accomplice. Henry Lear was America's most celebrated social entertainer during the Golden Age. He's dubbed America's court jester for his outrageous parties and his theatrical flair. He is born in Baltimore in 1869, and he has basically positioned himself as the successor to Ward McAllister, who was like the gatekeeper of New York's elite 400. So we're like the Knickerbockers and the industrial families of the area, like, or of the era. So it's kind of his job to like look after everyone, right? Um, Lear becomes famous for staging these elaborate spectacles with Mamie. However, behind this like glittering, facade that he's put on in his life, he's very, very gay. And reportedly was involved with fellow Newport socialite Charles Graynow. But that said, in 1901, he marries a wealthy heiress called Bessie Drexel Dahlgren. He confesses to her on their wedding night, and this is heartbreaking to me, but he confesses to her on their wedding night that their marriage would remain unconsummated and loveless. He told her, quote, "In public, I will be to you everything that a most devoted husband should be to his wife. You shall never complain of my conduct in this respect. I will give you courtesy, respect, and apparently devotion, but you must expect nothing more from me. When we are alone, I do not intend to keep up this miserable pretense. The farce of love and sentiment. Our marriage will never be a marriage in anything but name. I do not love you. I can never love you. I can school myself to be polite to you, but that is all. The less we see of one another, except in the presence of others, the better." So I don't have this in my notes, but he proposes to marry her after he introduces her to like all of his friends to ensure that like she enjoys his society and that she gets the blessing, like he gets the blessing to marry her from them.
Mm.
Um, because this is 1901 in high society, you can't just be out gay, right? Which is kind of devastating. Um,
And he couldn't really clue her into a lavender marriage beforehand because of the time period.
right. For all purposes, it seems like they work really well together. When I was getting sources on this, I discovered that she actually has a book, and when I can get my hands on it, I'm gonna read it. But they maintain this charade of their love for 28 years. Like she gains his social connections and he gains her fortunes. So like it works out pretty well for the both of them, despite the fact that there's not a whole lot of snuggling going on behind closed doors, if you know what I mean. Okay, so obviously, I think it's pretty clear to Stu what her man, Mr. Lear, is, but her and Lear, as in Mamie, they get into some antics, and whether it's a dinner at her house or she is hosting elsewhere, she does some stuff. She, like I said, she's over the stuffy 3 hour dinners at the Astors. She would ensure that dinner, all of the courses, were done within an hour, often leaving her guests holding on to their plates when the staff came to take them. They'd be like, no, 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 and like grab their plates back, which I think is hilarious. In lieu of 3 hour dinners, Jennifer Wright of Town and Country writes, Mamie threw vaudeville evenings. To open her newly built New York home in 1900, she staged a theatrical called Little Puddle, Big Fish. People entered the home to find a stage and posters declaring vaudeville tonight, but not tomorrow. Beware of spectators, and tickets perched on the sidewalk of no avail. The play tells the story of a male gold digger of like the Yukon variety coming to New York, and in doing so, it roasts every family in attendance. And they
Wow.
loved it. Like they had so much fun. Um, like one of Mamie's greatest gifts was absolutely burning everyone in the most delightful way possible. Like if you
So she
weren't
roasted
invited,
him. It was a
every
roast.
time she had the chance. Absolute roast every time. At one point, she welcomes people to dinner and she's like, "Make yourself at home, because Lord knows that's where I want you." But like, she invited you to dinner. Like, she is just here to just school everybody. If you weren't invited to her party, it was considered a social slight. And if you were invited to her party, you'd be roasted when you got there. But you loved it. There is this legendary dinner that her and Lear throw called the dog dinner, where upon finding out that women prefer dogs over men, they decide to throw an absolutely unhinged dinner party for Newport's most bougie pets. The dogs and their owners show up in full glam. Mamie's own pup was literally dripping in a $15,000 necklace. I did the math, and I'm not entirely sure if my math was right, but if it is, that would be like 500K today on your dog.
That is so much more than just a like Louis Vuitton collar.
Yeah, it's a lot. The butlers at this dinner are in full formal wear, and they serve the dogs a three-course meal. You have stewed liver and rice, fricassee of bones, and shredded dog biscuits. Meanwhile, the humans, the dog's owners, they're basically just there to keep their pets from jumping off the chairs. Guests are obsessed. They called it the loveliest thing of the social season. The newspapers, they're not so impressed. The Austin Daily Herald basically said, could there be anything more ridiculous than this dinner? Um, but like
I
from
think they're saying that
today's,
because they're in Austin and they're not in New York invited.
and they're jealous, right? Because the way I see it from like today's perspective, we're spending $6 on a puppuccino and throwing birthday parties for our pets and making Instagrams for our cats. So like
Shut
maybe
up.
maybe
Puppuccinos
she's
aren't free?
they're free where I'm at, but apparently we can also buy them. Um, Mamie, I think she's just ahead of her time. Like she is just having a good time and she sees where this is going to go, and you're not going to stop her from buying a $15,000 necklace for her dog if she wants to. So like good luck with that, I guess. In the middle of like a social row with one of the other ladies, she levels up hard. Mamie has this beef with someone called May Goulet for whatever reason, petty, I'm sure. I'm not really clear where the beef is, but one night, Mamie invites 200 people to dinner to celebrate Grand Duke of Grand Duke Boris of Russia. And like he's visiting, and this is like a major flex, right? She invites May and like her whole crew except one guy, a guy named James Dwarf Cutting. And May reaches out and she's like, you forgot someone. And Mamie was basically like, no. And she doubles down that specifically Cutting wasn't invited. I'm unclear why, but she is just not having him. Well, May claps back and says something to the effect of, fine, then none of us are coming, including your guest of honor. And I'm a little unclear of how she persuades the Grand Duke of Russia from not attending Mamie's party, and she then decides to throw her own. So, same night, conflicting parties. Um, which May sees as obviously the ultimate power move, but Mamie's already got 200 other guests showing up and no Grand Duke. So instead of canceling, because that's what quitters do, she lets everyone arrive and just sort of vibes in the chaos. She's like doing her thing. And people keep asking where the Grand Duke is. Why hasn't he entered? Where's he coming? And Mamie finally announces that she has someone better. She has the actual Tsar of Russia. The doors burst open. Everyone bows and curtsies to this elaborate figure in royal robes and then absolutely lose it when they realize it's Lear in costume trolling everyone,
It was gonna be somebody like somebody was gonna be.
right? This man is an absolute icon. And the party is one of the most talked about parties of the season. Like everybody had a blast. They adored the fact that they totally fell into this ruse and were like hook, line, and sinker for it. Which I'm thinking that's kind of how you win the feud. Like problem solved. You might have had Grand Duke Boris, but we had the Tsar of Russia. It's just Lear from down the street, but whatever.
Don't let
On
the truth interrupt a good story.
Exactly, and that's pretty much her. On another occasion, Alva Belmont, who was formerly, if I'm remembering this right, formerly a Vanderbilt, confronts Mamie, and she's angry because she'd been hearing that Mamie had been telling everyone that Alva looked like a frog. To which Mamie replied, "Not a frog, a toad, my pet, a toad." It was like, "Oh my God, Theresa, I think I found your soul sister."
I mean, yeah, I am vibing hard with this human. So carry
I
on. Tell me more about my great aunt.
Right? As a quick aside, I mentioned this earlier, but her man Stu was so into her that once he heard her coughing at a dinner party and he asked if he could get her, something for her throat, and she quickly collapsed back with, she would like that necklace she saw at Tiffany's. It would be only a couple of days before she would spot it around town with that necklace.
I love that. Well done.
Right? So this, believe it or not, was not what inspired me to tell you the story. This is what inspired me to tell you the story. It's 1902, and Newport society is absolutely losing it because a literal prince, Prince Del Drogo from Corsica, is coming to town. And this is the time when America's got like way more money than sense, and so they're trying to marry their daughters off to European nobility, right? So you can have
Yeah,
the money
this
and the
is when
title.
that was the hunt that was happening.
Right. Okay. So you can imagine all these like dowager moms and all these, they're dressing their daughters to the nine. They're reminding them how to curtsy. They're doing all the things. And
They're
they are
filling
like,
their bra with the sock drawer, trying to make them bosoms look higher. Yeah.
right. They're just hoping for an invite to Mamie's dinner. And she sends out these invitations to like the most elite dinner party ever. Okay. Harry Lear, he is hyping everyone up. He is warning that the prince, he can be a bit wild and he definitely shouldn't drink. Meanwhile, this doesn't stop anybody because they're like, I gotta practice my curtsy, right? Like, I gotta make sure my mascara is good. I gotta be looking fabulous for this prince because that could be it. That could be my guy. I'm gonna marry him. Be titled and wealthy. Here we go. So they all get to the party. They're printing and doing all the things. Their feathers are up. They're looking fabulous. And another rich friend of theirs from Chicago, a man called Joseph Leiter, walks in holding the prince by the hand because Prince Del Drago is literally a monkey named Jocko wearing a custom tuxedo.
Yes. Yes. It
The
was either going
room,
to be that or the prince was going to be like five.
right? The room goes silent. And then everybody looks over at Mamie and Lear, and they are like bowled over, cackling, like having the time of their life. They basically plan this whole thing on a yacht afternoon, and Mamie like bullies the tailor into making a monkey a custom suit. Like, I need you to make me this suit by next Tuesday, that sort of thing. Like, I need it right now. And they pretty much don't tell anybody else what the plan is. So the best part of this is after the initial shock like wears off, everyone loves it. Jocko uses utensils, quote, like a gentleman of the old school. And then someone proceeds to give him alcohol despite all the warnings, and he proceeds to jump on the tables and swing from the chandelier and throw light bulbs at guests.
Oh,
Yeah, the partygoers are absolutely obsessed. They said this was the best night ever. Again, the newspaper's not real happy. They're clutching their pearls hard and writing these like super dramatic editorials about how this was so embarrassing for America to foreigners. The scandal, because okay, the idea is right, this is the society that represents America as a whole to European high society, and we must look the absolute fool, right? Now, this news reaches as far as France, where a random priest, also named Henry Lear, has to issue a statement clarifying that he has never dined with a monkey. He's not that sort of man. Because they assume he's the Lear that's hosting the party, right? He's absolutely not. He's just some like parish priest minding his own business. Now, so the basic gist is Mammy's like, or Mamie's basically like, oh, so you're all so thirsty that for titles that you'll curtsy to anything, and proves her point like an absolute troll. And I am so here for her.
this
Um,
is what would happen if I won the lottery. I wouldn't tell
honestly,
anybody, but there would be signs.
exactly. Her bestie Lear, his wife, later comments, Jocko the chimp's manners compared favorably with some princes I have met. Just like, oh my God, I love it. Now, in 1915, Edna Woolman Chase, she's from Vogue, she has this crazy idea. And it is, what if we do a fashion show to raise money for French war orphans? Like this revolutionary concept, right? But there's a glitch in the system here because at this time, rich people are not about to show up at an event where regular people buy tickets, and they are certainly not going to be caught mingling with their dressmakers. That would be absolutely scandalous, right? Well, Edna, who's no idiot, reaches out to Mamie Fish and who's basically like, bet. And she throws her full support behind this. And this is what we now call New York Fashion Week.
Wow.
Yeah. So the elite, they actually show up. Edna Chase later wrote that it was, quote, a small shock, pleasant but unexpected for high society to find themselves hanging out with their dressmakers and models. And high society, they said they felt quite daring about it, which makes me laugh so hard. Like, come on,
And look at me sitting side by side with the help. What a
the
rebel.
pores. Oh, oh, Jacob, my goodness. Um, but you know what? Like the rest of Newport society is gatekeeping like their lives depend on it. But Mamie, our girl, she is out here befriending people they wouldn't even make eye contact. One of Mamie's best friends was a comedian, a female comedian named Mary Dressler. Ask me how they met. Please ask me how they met.
Oh, gosh. I have no idea, so I'm gonna have to just say, how did they meet?
Thank you. Uh, Mary, or excuse me, Marie literally hit Mamie over the head with a leak during a performance. And instead of being offended, Mamie was like, "You're hilarious. We're friends now." And like,
Yeah, that is the kind of move I would be so cool with too.
right? So she's out here collecting like amazing friends, right? She actively fights for them. Edith Gould, who's formerly Edith Kingdom, was married to this millionaire called George Gould, but gets completely frozen out of society because, oh my God, she used to be an actress. She had a job before marrying, and she wasn't
This
just
is a
born
very
rich.
Meghan Markle sort of.
Very sort of thing, yes. But Mamie's looking at the situation like, absolutely not. I am not going to let an interesting woman be excluded from society because she actually had a job and a personality once. Like, no, I don't think so. Um, so she's basically being super revolutionary for her time and like impressed with people who have done things with their lives, and she finds them way more fun. So she uses her social power to open doors for talented fascinating people, including funding a young lady a young lady's artistic education. Like, okay, Mamie is just casually chatting with this artist that she has hired to paint her portrait, and the conversation somehow turns to this talented young woman who really, really wants to pursue art school, but she can't afford it. And 2 days later, uh, Mamie literally bursts into the painter's classroom in the middle of a lesson, like some kind of fairy godmother with all of her money just falling out of her purse, says to the teacher, "Show me the student you're telling me about." Like she demands it. No appointment, no warning, just her walking in. She walks right up to the poor girl who is probably super freaked out at this point, looks at
Yeah.
her and says, "I'm paying for your entire education, but here's the deal. Under no circumstances are you allowed to give up on becoming an artist." Then she just leaves. No strings attached, except don't you quit. Like, our girl saw this potential and said, "I'm investing in it. K bye." Like, phenomenal to me. She
I'm
did
not
believe
saying
it
that I
was
should be independently wealthy like this, but I feel like I would be her. So feel free to put money into the account.
like right. I am not saying I'm a millionaire, but if I was, then these would be the signs. So she basically sees it as her duty to keep everyone employed. It kind of reminds me of the whole like ordained by God thing that kings have, you know? Um, In an interview, she once stated that rich people had a duty to spend their money and entertain and keep the cooks, caterers, and household staff employed, saying, quote, "It is not an unemployed butler a sad sight as an unemployed agricultural labor? Like, we got to keep everybody employed, otherwise it's so sad. I must throw another party." However,
I mean, there's pros and cons to that, I feel. Like I
yeah,
think that that could just be an excuse to exploit, but I mean, if you're paying everybody a livable wage and, okay.
yeah. Now the downside is, our girl was against women's suffrage, saying, quote, "A good husband is the best right of any woman." So there's that.
Yeah, there's going to be
Can't win them all.
problematic things. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't win them all. Um, Mamie Fish passed away unexpectedly on May 25th, 1915, at age 62. She had succumbed to a cerebral hemorrhage in her bedroom at Glencliff. She was laid to rest in St. Peter's Churchyard in Garrison. Stuyvesant survived her by about 8 years. He died on April 10th, 1923, at the age of 73. He was interred beside his wife and their infant son, Livingston. They would have 4 children together, 3 of which would reach adulthood. Um, I'm just going to leave you with a quote. "Society wants novel entertainment," Mrs. Stuyvesant Fish explained. "It is like a child. I try to give it Phillips. And when it came to the wealthy, that meant you liven these people up." So that's the story of Mamie Fish.
I adore her.
Me too. Oh, I have pictures. I have pictures.
Please and thank you.
Allow me share. Come on. Oh, I guess I have to do it this way. Okay. Sorry, my screen is not being very friendly. Perfect. Okay, here we go. So the mustachioed gentleman is Stuyvesant.
Okay, that is a very Sam Elliott stash that goes mid-jowl.
Yep. This is Mamie in her finery.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a very like that picture looks like it was done in one of those touristy saloon dress old fashioned for
It
the
really
family.
does. It really does. Okay, so this is her bestie, Henry Lear. This is
The
him
look
in
on his
his
face is
day job.
like, could you be kidding me?
Yeah.
Absolutely
This
not.
is also Mr. Lear living his very best life.
That is an impressive drag queen.
Yeah, he loved drag.
I love it. I love it.
Like when I saw that there are 2 pictures of him, I was like, "Oh my gosh, they're such polar opposites." I love it. So yeah, that's Mamie Fish and her crazy life. And when I learned of her, I was like, "Oh my God, Theresa, I found your great aunt."
I love
Especially
it
when I got
all.
to the part that was, no, darling, I said a toad, not a frog. Let me
I
correct you.
mean,
You're mistaken.
yeah. Like look, if I talk smack to your face or behind your back, I will do it to your face. Like,
Yeah, honestly, I'm going to give you the chance to defend your own honor.
right. I don't want to, I'm not going to be a liar.
Exactly.
And if you two are not a liar and you think I have the cojones to say it to your face, I am here for it. Rate, review, subscribe, um, join our Patreon, and comment on the episode on what your favorite part was and who you think we should do next, because we are here for all of that.
Love it.
And on that note, goodbye.
Goodbye.